Don't you love this sound of the last laugh, my friend? Don't you love the sound of the last laugh at the end? Down in the gutter with the mad old soldiers, down in the scuppers with the drunken sailors, down in the gutter with the mad old soldiers. Let the last laugh, baby, is yours. And don't you love the sound of the last laugh going down? I wanted song number 73 to do something with Van Morrison for some reason, probably because of the album Hard Nosed the Highway, which was released in 1973, and that number stuck in my head. I don't know why, but that's a great album with some amazing songs. Autumn Song, Snow and San Anselmo. Check it out if for some reason you managed to miss it. So The Last Laugh is a duet song Mark wrote with Van Morrison in mind, and as it always happens with Mark writing for or about other artists, it's extremely in line with, in this case, Van Morrison's music. Reminds me of Irish Heartbeat and some other songs. To me, The Last Laugh brings the same emotion, evokes positive vibes, and overall makes me feel good. And it's also has a pretty unusual structure which I really like, and I'll talk about that as well. So the song is in E major, and the intro is something I just always loved. A great and simple idea. An E major line in thirds. Welcome to my world. Going down. What a great opening for a song with two voices, isn't it? So it's the lowest part of the harmony on a guitar, and the upper part in the voice. Don't you love this sound? Sounds great, though in the song itself Mark and Van never sing in harmony. I always loved this little harmony bit. The rest of the song was carefully written, as you can imagine, so this arrangement calls not for strumming, but rather the "if this is goodbye" approach. So as you can see, it even has some similar ideas. And it's played with wide chords and alternate picking. And so that's pretty much all that's happening here. A, B, E. E, B with D sharp in the bass, C sharp minor 7, B in the bass. This is a lovely part and so enjoyable to play. A, B, strum, slide to E. Baby is yours. Here goes B7, and then a cool little lick that sounds amazing in the bend situation. 7th to 9th fret slide, 11th fret, then the whole thing slides back and finish it with a pull off. Again slowly. It's a great sound. The trouble here, in my situation here, then it's just one guitar. I want to hold this B bass note, but it's tricky to play the rest. But the slide part is so great. I'll play it like this anyway, just because it sounds so good. And here it sort of feels like the end of the verse, but it goes back for another 4 bars. A, B, E. And this is what I meant about unusual structure. It's only 22 bars and this long rest at the end of the verse. To think of it, the song doesn't even have a chorus. It's so long, one long verse, and I love when songs do that. There are no rules in music. This reminds me of the story when Paul McCartney was working with classical musicians in the studio while recording the song Yesterday, and they said, you can't write music like that. And it's true in the sense that Yesterday has not the most logical structure from a classical viewpoint. It has 7 bars in the verse instead of 8 or something like that. But who cares? It's Yesterday. So The Last Laugh was built around one of the simplest ideas in music. 4, 5, 1. By the way, this is a good opportunity to fix my little mistake. In one of the first videos I made in the song Sailing to Philadelphia, I played E major chord like so. But I have completely forgotten that this grip like this is much better, and that was actually used in the song. Mark uses it all the time anyway. What makes me feel better is that this open position shape is absolutely okay to use, so nothing criminal here. All mistakes are intentional. And it brings me to the most interesting part, which is embellishments. The part that transforms this little song from a beginner's piece to a masterpiece. And I'll talk about all the embellishments that are available in this arrangement. On the A chord, it's a classic If This Is Goodbye slur. Usually used at the beginning of the verse. Another one is this beautiful line in thirds. Another one is this little line from 5th to the 4th fret. B chord is pretty stable and goes pretty fast, so no particular embellishments are possible here. But E major E major is one of the two chords that span 2 or more bars, so it's as complicated as this B7 riff I was talking about. First of all, since it's more than 1 bar, you have to make it more interesting, right? You can't just go. And the simplest way to spice it up is to alternate one string up like this. Second way is to add this suspended 4 feeling, moving just one note up. The third variation is the hardest one because it's a wide stretch and requires flawless execution. But it's well worth the hassle. The idea is to play this beautiful melody line while holding the E major grip. Ending with a sus4 line from the previous variation. No shortcuts here, unfortunately, just practice, practice and practice. And the last variation on E major would be this. In the very last seconds of the song, when turnaround comes, it switches to E7. And the last time going down, making this beautiful ending. So anyway, this is again a good instance then looking at tablature may come handy, as I wrote it all down except for some variations, but it's easier to follow anyway. So again, the song is pretty easy, but thanks to those variations I can't put it into the beginners section because it's kind of intermediate, to be honest with you. So good luck with learning this beautiful little optimistic ballad.